morning, everyone. It is Friday, January 8th, 2016. Happy New Year to everyone, and this is Gersh's Gaming Diamond or Ragequit. It's been a couple of weeks since I made a video. Kind of took a break over the Christmas holiday. Steam had their Christmas sale. I bought like 6 games. Took a bit of a break from StarCraft. Played some XCOM. Played some Gunpoint. Great games, by the way. When I got back to StarCraft, when I was playing StarCraft here and there, I was like playing campaign, playing co-op, playing against friends. Not really being super serious in my laddering or diamond or rage quitting. So, yeah, took a bit of a break. But you know what? That's cool. So here we are. It's 2016. The ladder is now locked for this season, so I am Silver League for the season. And the season ends in late January. And I was kind of thinking that, with 1 month left in the season, might be a sort of good time to sort of evaluate where we are this season, what progress we've made, where we're trying to go. So, with that in mind, before we jump into a game, let's jump over to GG Tracker. So this is my GG Tracker profile. Tried to bring this up, I think, on my last video, but it wasn't working. It was down for some reason. So, right now I have it filtered, so it's just games I've been at Protoss, ladder games, 1v1s, okay? Now, ignore most of these plots. The main thing to focus on is this recently matches won. So this is like the last 10 games I've played. So last 10 games, 50% win rate. Not really surprising because the matchmaker sort of in StarCraft will eventually lead you to a 50% win rate. Not really surprising. So let's take a look versus specifically at the 3 different matchups. So versus Zerg, which I've been working on the most over this season, right? Been practicing. My sparring partner is Zerg. I've been working basically for a full month on the Zerg build, and I've got it at a place that I pretty much like it. And look, this reflects that. Last 10 games versus Zerg, 60% win rate. I'm pretty happy about that. I'm really pretty happy about that. Versus Terran, haven't really been working on it, but you see, even so, 50% win rate over the last 10 games versus Terran. So, that's I think that's okay. Obviously, I'd like that to be higher. Now, let's look at recent match history. Protoss versus Protoss. 10%. I've said Protoss is my weakest matchup for a while, right? And this is the statistic that's just staring me right in the face on it. It says, you can't play against Protoss. So, over the break, when I was sitting down and playing, one of the things I was doing was kind of taking a look at Protoss builds, trying to find something that kind of spoke to me, that kind of worked. And I took that into a couple of games, and, well, I'm going to show you one from Monday. Oops, here we go. So, this is a game from Monday, and it's Protoss versus Protoss because that's actually not even my base. So, I'm going to go to the Gersh cam, and we're going to resume the game. We're going to see what happens here. I am not going to put the production tab up, because I want to kind of keep this sort of similar to how my reactions were in the actual game. So, this is the first reason why I don't like playing Protoss. Is you see me checking around my base, really paranoid, right? I'm at the 1 minute mark, and I'm like, could there be something in my base? This is because Protoss have a lot of options when fighting other Protoss, and one of them that works pretty well is called cannon rushing, which is instead of building a gateway first, you build a forge, and that allows you to build photon cannons. And then as this is building, you wander a probe into the enemy base, set up in some dark corner where he's not going to notice you, like right there, and you drop a pylon, and then you start building cannons. Build 2, 3 cannons, drop another pylon, another couple of cannons, and basically you encroach to the enemy nexus until the cannons are shooting the probes. If you do not see this coming, if you do not see the probe initially, it is incredibly hard to defend against. If you do see the probe initially, the defense is actually not that difficult. You take a clump of probes, you pull them off mining, you kill the enemy probe, and then you go back to mining, and now you have a gateway, which is useful, and he has a forge, which isn't. So you're already winning. But that's not what happened this game. But you see that I'm checking for it because I'm always scared of it, because it feels like every time I don't check for it, that's when it happens. Here comes the probe, so I have my probe chase him, just kind of keep an eye on it. So you see the build I'm going for here. 2 gates, and I'll be adding on, I think, a Twilight Council pretty soon. The idea behind this is to do, I'm actually going to take the camera view off because that's making me dizzy a little bit at this speed. Alright, now, up at the enemy base, here's what I scout. 2 gateways, cyber core, something else in construction, I didn't catch what it was. If I had caught what this was, well, I may have survived this game. But we'll come back to that. Also, no second base, which I thought was weird, but I just started my second base. It's only the 3-minute mark.
Research complete.
So 2 gates. Here comes my Twilight Council. The Twilight Council is for blink. I reposition. What was that? Did you guys hear that? Oh my god, look at all my workers explode. Yeah, so this is one of the other tactics that Protoss can pull against other Protoss. It's called Dark Templar rushing. Let's go to the everybody cam. See these guys? These guys are annoying. Alright? Called Dark Templar. They one-shot workers. They are permanently cloaked. They do not have a lot of hit points. I've got... I mean, in terms of army supply, I got him beat, right? And I'm on defense. And I have a mothership core, which can... Which, you know, empowering one of these 2 pylons, I could kill these guys in a heartbeat. But only if I can see them. So that's the problem, is you need some way to have stealth detection early. Let's rewind, because at this point the game's over. I did take my stalkers and kind of try and poke at his base. Pretty sure he saw me coming, and this attack pretty much failed. So, yeah, the game's over at this point. It just took me a while to figure it out. Let's go to the 2-minute mark. So yeah, as I said, this is one of the tactics that that Protoss players can pull. Now, why do I say specifically that it works on Protoss versus Protoss matches? Well, it doesn't work as well against Terran, because they have orbital command centers that can do a sensor sweep. Sensor sweep plus a handful of Marines, all the Dark Templar are dead. That's it. That's it. And Terrans are going to have orbital command centers. That's like a core building for them, right? Because orbital commands let you do mules, which basically are little extra workers that mine super fast. It's the macro mechanic for Terran. It's the equivalent of the Protoss Chrono Boost, which basically, well, you can read it there, speeds up what a structure's doing. So Protoss start with having the Chrono Boost ability, Terrans have to turn one of their main buildings, a command center, into an orbital command center in order to use mules. So, if you're against Protoss, if you think there might be a Dark Templar rush, and you can't get a detection structure, which is a photon cannon, down immediately, down really fast, then, I'm sorry, for the Terrans, their detection structure is a missile turret. So if you can't get that down in time, you can at least have the energy on your comsat, you sweep your Marines, kill it, and you move on with life. And again, this is an all-in strategy, right? I was ahead of him on army value. I had like 6 Stalkers, he had like 2 Stalkers and 3 Dark Templar. Okay, I killed the Dark Templar, he has nothing. And it would take him a while to get something. And his element of surprise is wrecked. Alright, so here's my mistake on this game. I'm going to go back to the Gershcam. Alright. I'm not paying attention to the information this scouting probe is giving me. I come in here, no second base, which is not incredibly surprising. And what I need to be doing, see if I go to the Gershcam right now, as my probe is sitting in the enemy base, okay? Over on my, I'm looking at my side, which is good, I'm macroing. But, if I resume here, see, I even do come up here and grab this probe, but I don't click on this building to see what it is. And if I had, I would have seen that's a Twilight Council. That's a very fast Twilight Council, right? At this point, I'm warping in a second gateway, I'm about to get a Nexus. This is, I prioritized a Twilight Council over expanding. Right? My money is high right now, relatively. I'm at a little less than 400 because I'm about to drop a Nexus right here. He had no Nexus here. And I'll say my Nexus is even late already because I dropped a second gateway. He's got 2 gates and a Twilight Council. At this point, let's do a little math, right? So it is at the 2.5 minute mark. If I had seen that, and if I had noticed it, recognized it for what it was, okay, 2.5 minutes.
Born shall persevere.
The Dark Templar rush, I think, comes at the 4.5 minute mark. You know what, we don't need to resume the game, so let's just do some math. I drop my Nexus any minute now. I could still drop the Nexus. Okay? Let's wait for that to happen. Bam. Alright, and now we get up to 150 minerals. Let's see, the first time I hit 150, it's about there. Okay, if I had dropped a Forge. Forge takes 32 seconds to build. And then a Photon Cannon takes 29 seconds to build. So 1 minute from the 3 minute mark. All I had to do, drop the Forge, could leave off the next Stalker, which is I think what I spent my money on. I don't know. I actually have no idea what I spent my money on. Alright. But the basic idea, right, is you drop the Forge, I put a cannon here, and I would have won the game. Now, some Protoss players understand that the Scout looks for this. So, sometimes they put the Twilight Council at this weird proxy pylon. Because he doesn't want me to see the Dark Shrine. That's the real dead giveaway, right? So he hides the Dark Shrine and a Warp Gate over here. So you'll see, as we go forward here, the Dark Shrine also takes a long time to warp in. So he uses this as a Warp Gate, and that allows him to fast warp in to Dark Templar. Honestly, if he had been managing his economy a little bit better, it might have been more Dark Templar than that. But there you have it. So, if he hides the Twilight Council here, I'll be honest, I'm not really sure how I would find this, other than maybe he's not that he's expanding late. He's got extra gateways and like no defenses, but like I don't even have a lot of defenses at this point, right? If you look at the units tab, I've got 4 Stalkers, he's got 1 Stalker, I've got an Adept, and his Dark Templar are warping in. So I think if he was a little more clever, I might still be kind of screwed. So this is something I'm working on, is I can't afford to make the Forge blind against other Protoss. At least I don't think. If I make the Forge blind, right, here's the problem. Then I would have one Warp Gate, because I would use the 150 minerals to make the Forge instead of this. Then, instead of this Warp Gate, then each Photon Cannon is 150 minerals. So if I build one blind here at the 4-minute mark, it means I'm not getting my Twilight Council on time. And then what if he goes over here, right? He comes into this base, he sees the Photon Cannon, he's like, oh, I gotta go. You have to either have mobile detection, which means an early robotics facility, or you have to have the Forge and 2 Photon Cannons, and I think that puts me too far behind. So I can't do it blind. I have to scout it. And if I don't scout it, I lose. Here's another thing, is some of the other all-in tactics, cheesy tactics that Protoss can do, things like early air, things like early aggression, really early aggression, which actually is kind of the build that I'm going for. I haven't actually mentioned this. The build that I'm going for is to get Twilight Council, Research, Blink, and attack with Stalkers. Stalkers with Blink at first. And then, if that attack doesn't work, come back and supplement those Stalkers with Disruptors, because Disruptors are really, really painful against other Protoss units. There's a reason why I'm pursuing this strategy as opposed to any other. I'll get to that in just a moment. But, in any event, if there's early aggression, if there's early air, like he comes in with a couple of oracles or something, it would be better if I took these Stalkers and I put them, like, here, and then once this is up, here. Actually, preferably, I'd have, like, 3 Stalkers here, and, like, 2 or 3 Stalkers here. So, a few more than I have, but this Nexus isn't up yet, so I don't have to defend it. Right? Also, that will help when I have the detection, right? Because then I have something to kill the Dark Templar right there. And I don't have to move troops down, give him the opportunity to move out. So the last thing I want to say is, if you can't beat him, join him. Why don't I do my own cheesy attack? Right? Dark Templar Rush, you've seen how effective it is on me, surely it must be relatively effective against other Silver and Gold League players. Or to do an early air attack, or to do cannon rushes, or any of these other builds. And the reason is, I suck at StarCraft, right? And it's not that I couldn't pull off these tactics, because one of the reasons why they're popular at the low leagues is you don't need a lot of skill to execute them. However, they don't teach you anything. Right, you can't learn anything from doing a cannon rush other than, doop doop, I did a cannon rush. That's it. Right? And I'm trying, the goal is for me to get to diamond, not for me to get to gold. Right? Trying to think long term. And long term is that I need to develop the skills that will serve me in the later game, and not try to win in the first 5 minutes. Which, in turn, means right now, I'm a little vulnerable to losing in the first 5 minutes. Oops. So having said that, I'm not going to cannon rush, I'm not going to Dark Templar rush. Early air aggression, maybe. I've been screwing around with it a little, but I can't get the air attack off prior to the 6-minute mark. And that's like I fly in with 2 oracles, and I just kind of blow up a bunch of probes. And if it works, great, I'm really far ahead. But if it doesn't work, I've invested a lot of money into a strategy that doesn't cripple me, because like I still have the oracles, and I can still do harassment, and I have them also for stealth detection, even though they're way too late to prevent a Dark Templar rush. But it's kind of So I'm kind of experimenting with that against friends. I'm not really experimenting with that on the ladder. So I'm trying to develop the skills that will serve me well. And one of the things is Blink Stalkers and Disruptors, you have to have good micromanagement with them. Micromanagement being fine unit control. I have bad unit control. Most of the time I just kind of select and go a move and hope that my larger army will wipe out their smaller army. This kind of works. This works. When I have a larger army, sure, it works. When our armies are about equivalent, I can lose. So, Disruptors are very difficult to control. They require a lot of micromanagement. Stalkers are pretty easy to control, but the Blink micro is definitely a skill, and I'm developing it slowly. You didn't see it in this game, but that's alright. So, I've chosen this build in part because I think once I can defend against the cheese with it, I will be developing good skills with it. And that's that. That's basically all I have for today. All I have for today. That's what I'm going to be working on this week, is trying to refine the build, read the scout information from my Scout Pro better, and use it to defend against Protoss cheese. In addition, I don't have a Terran build yet. I feel like I kind of need that. The middle term goal is the season ends end of January. By the end of January, I want a build that I'm comfortable with for Protoss, Terran, and Zerg. I think all the work we did on Zerg has been really valuable, because not only has it given me a Protoss versus Zerg build, but it's given me a build. I think it's also helped me develop some of these skills, right? In working on the Protoss versus Zerg build, I've also, been really good at building pylons, not getting supply blocked, spending my money, getting a lot of units, etc., 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 etc. But now it's time to branch out into the other races, get something for these other races, and then the goal is, next season, I have 3 solid builds. When I'm laddering, get into gold. That's the goal. That's it. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment. If you have a comment, let me know what I'm doing right. Let me know what I'm doing wrong. Let me know what you think about my path forward. Like and share the video if you sort of enjoy this path that I'm going on of Dive Into or Ragequit, and I will see you guys next week. Cheers.